Alright YouTube, what is going on? It is ConflctNerd Callum here today, bringing you another episode of my Transport Fever Let's Play. Let's connect up the Grand Canyon. So today, ladies and gentlemen, is my birthday, which is pretty cool. I'm 20 years old, so getting old, yeah, coming up for retirement, which is pretty insane. I can't believe I'm 20 now, it's just really strange. I'm actually recording this 2 days before my birthday. Currently it is the Monday morning, about 2 AM, so I want to just have a chilled out end to my day. And that's why I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and play some Transport Fever, because Transport Fever is a game which I very much enjoy and I look forward to playing, and I thought, you know what, let's just go ahead and record an episode at a ridiculous time of day, when I probably really should be in bed because I have university at 9 AM. Anyway, so we're in the town of Milton Caves, and someone rightly said that I think these two towns are about to join up, and I think you are correct. Milton Caves and Willems, which we'll look at in a second. These are two of the towns which we sort of connected up roughly around episode 13, I believe it was, and before this episode started I was like, let's go ahead and build something cool. So this is what I did. I built a road which sort of goes into the side of the mountain. And if we can get a good angle on this, this is what I built literally, and it comes through this little valley and it connects up at this junction here. So as you can see from an aerial view, it's literally just a square around this nice rock, but some of the shots you can get on it is really cool. And the road as well, I mean the road was difficult to create just with bridges and with terraforming and all that sort of stuff, but it's just something that I thought, you know what, let's just go ahead and do it. And I also took away a lot of this hill as well, so a lot of this land is new and flat, which we're going to go ahead and I guess just put roads on to hopefully go ahead and allow people to just create houses really, because that's the main aim of this. So I'm just going to create a few roads which sort of go sparsely in between places like that. And again, the original reason behind this was to go ahead and just allow more people to live in here, because we're starting to see a lot of skyscrapers, and I thought, you know what, it's time to go ahead and just give a little bit more room for building. If we go ahead and check Milton Caves, then it's not actually got that large population, but it's just the way the town's built. It's very strange. I mean, it's not all grouped together, it's sort of on roads which are leaving town, and that's how the town is. It's just sort of grown that way, but I'm not happy that it's grown that way. I'd much rather have like a centre core, and that's why I've cut back a lot of this mountain. What we are going to do today though is, I mean, we've got 5 episodes left by my calculations. We've got 5 episodes left, and the reason I want to do 5 episodes is because it fits in really well in my schedule and my new Transport Fever series, which will be, I'm going to give it like a 3-day break I think after this one and the next one, so there'll be a special video in between which would usually go in for Transport Fever. I think it's going to be something with the ConflctNerd Family anyway, which will be quite cool. So I want to do that, and it looks like we're getting performance issues a lot, but I mean, I'm not going to try and moan about it. Looks like this at bus station's a little bit too busy, unfortunately, which I'm not liking. To be fair, there's not actually a lot of people there, which is good, but I do want to go ahead, and we're going to start off by touching on the planes, because the planes is something which I briefly addressed, but I want to go ahead and properly sort out. So I think the best thing to do is probably to go to Arvada, because Arvada has all of our planes stationed there, or all of our different air routes, sorry. I believe we have 4 of them and all go via Arvada, or no, sorry, the Silverton to Gianna Richardson doesn't, but that's the only one. The first thing I want to go ahead and do is go ahead and check our hangar, because I got myself some new planes in the workshop. I got myself another Airbus really. I just thought, you know, why not, this one looks pretty cool. There's no actually statistical differences, but I think I'm going to go ahead and run with the Airbuses going forward, because I think that's a good idea. So I want to check coming in here. This is from Tajana Richardson, and I don't think it's got anyone on it, which is kind of a shame. Tajana Richardson is still making money, this actually. This is making 1.97 million, but there's only 1 passenger leaving to go on that, which is really not a lot. We do have people here waiting for Boulder, which is kind of obvious, and also Silverton, interestingly, actually is on the rise as well at 33. So I'm going to go ahead though and change up some planes, because I'm just not happy with certain planes, I'm really not. So when you two guys land, you're going to go to the depot, and I think it's maybe to do with the custom planes, honestly, I'm not going to lie, I'm just not digging them at all. So I'm going to get all of them to return, and I'm going to go ahead and assign new planes onto these routes. So it's just going to be the Airbuses, because the Airbuses really work out well for me. So I'm going to go ahead and buy 1-2 of yous, and then I'm going to send yous onto this Silverton to Gianna Richardson, which I realise neither of those two airports are actually this airport, so why am I doing it from this hangar? It doesn't actually matter, which is a good thing, so I can go ahead and assign it from any airport, which is good. And then along with that, we're going to buy 1, 2, 3, which these only cost 11.8 million. So I mean, there's trains that cost like 100 million in this game, so really not that much for planes, to be honest. Again, these aren't the best planes, to be fair. Probably the Boeings, I would say, is maybe a little bit better, and then you've also got Concorde as well. The capacity with Concorde is a bit of an issue, but it's probably a good bet, to be fair. But we're going to stick with these ones because I'm enjoying using them and they seem to work quite well. You three are going to get assigned though onto the Arvada Silverton, and we'll see how that goes. It's just strange passenger numbers and frequency. Like, we have a lot of people waiting here, which is great to see. However, you'll still struggle to get profit on certain routes. It's really just what and how the airport they're paired up with does. For example, so if we go over here to Jeddah, then I don't know how Jeddah is actually doing itself. There's not a lot of people waiting here, only 18 people waiting here, so it's interesting though. We really just need a capacity upgrade all around, and that's something that we're going to work on in the next 5 episodes. Because as you can see, Jeddah, just an absolute shambles. The Boulder Valley, we flew over it, like look at this is insane. Now, someone touched on this actually, and it's a very, very good comment. I cannot do much better than I've already done, literally, I cannot do much better. There's just trams, every single tram is full, that is the problem. And, I mean, you can see the trams, Boulder Jackson's doing absolutely stunning profit. What about our TCs though, because our TCs are running around town. And yeah, I mean, they're doing really, really well. They're doing the best they pretty much can. However, they're just struggling to handle the capacity. There's 68 people waiting there. You come down here, there's 107. You know, I could have so many more tram routes. I think I could do with another tram route, which I might put in because it's definitely needed. Literally every single stop has like 100 people waiting at it. It's just insane in Boulder. But that's Boulder for you. Boulder's sort of always been like that. Not with those extremely large statistics, but it always has been a bit, you know, always needy and always demanding. And I used that example before of that annoying kid in class who was always wanting attention. That's Boulder. One thing I'm going to do is literally just start spamming buses onto routes, honestly, not going to lie. What have we got here? I'm just going to go ahead and do a few little changes. This one's affecting the airport actually, so I really need to go ahead and address this issue. So this is the Richardson to Jeddah, and yeah, literally all these buses are full. I don't know why you're that colour though. I want you to be in the orange colour, which this route should be. I don't even know if we've got any orange buses on this route anymore, because that was the OG colour, I guess you could say, the old school colour for that route. But I'm literally, this is what I'm going to do over the next few episodes, and I've got some more stuff in here. I just went in the Steam Workshop, but there wasn't anything honestly that was jumping out at me. Really not going to lie, there really wasn't. There was some older stuff which I'm going to be using in my next series, and I'm sort of working towards, I'm in the middle of choosing the map really, what I'm going to do next series. So I downloaded a few, and you know, I've played around with one or two, seeing what I like, seeing what I don't like, and seeing what's going to work. And I'm just having a think really, so if you see a lot more assets and a lot more buses, trains, whatever, then a lot of them are coming in for the new series. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and buy a lot of buses. That is a lot of buses. That's just going to, I mean, I'm just building for the end of the map. I don't want to touch this line again, but going ahead and adding in 8 buses there, whatever that was, that should solve all the problems going forward. It may create something like this, which seems to be a bit of an issue, and I think we're going to have to go and replace this because all 4 bus routes are all using the same lane here. So, and we know that this bus station effectively doesn't work. So, going to go ahead and pause the game very quickly. Going to go ahead and delete this, and we're going to go over to our just traditional stations, to be honest. It actually really works out quite well. So if we go ahead, add 2 platforms, I think. We're not going to have the 4, but we'll go for the 2, and we'll go ahead and build you in there, which costs 3.7 million and destroys a lot of homes, but it's all good to go. And hopefully lane assignment will be a little bit better. Again, it's already better because one of the buses isn't actually cramped in with all the others. In saying that though, there is always going to be traffic problems at bus stations, as we know. Buses always get really confused as well when you go ahead and place something down and they all empty out, which is a good thing, they all empty out, but everything just hits the fan and everything spazzes out and oh, it's not working, which is kind of funny. One thing I do want to do though is very quickly jump into here to Jada Richardson. I want to go ahead and assign how many vehicles have we got? We got a lot of vehicles on this route, a lot of vehicles. I want to make them all orange actually because they seem to be brown, black and orange, which not ideal at all. So with that done, I want to go ahead and check up on the trains because the trains is something which we have not looked at we didn't really look at last episode to be honest. I mean, we did make a train line altercation, which is something which I want to continue to do, and we're going to extend out from Tajada, I think down to, what's it, Meadows? Is it just Meadows? Yeah, it's just Meadows. So we're going to go and extend down here because Meadows has grown a lot as well, and to the point where it can support a station, and I believe it's not going to be the same as the Arvada because there is room to build a station here and it is going to work out, so we're going to go ahead and do that. That's probably the next thing we're going to do, to be honest. Again, I could literally go around every single village and go ahead and critique stuff, but right now there's honestly no need. There is a lot of people waiting here though, and I don't know why that is. I'm just hoping there's not a line failure on here, so we very quickly go ahead and filter by railroad. Yeah, I mean, this is running fine, it's just obviously the capacity is not really there. So this is at 37 million profits. Where are all the trains though? So it looks like some of the trains are up here right now and you are on your way to the station. You're full. It's maybe time to just go ahead and upgrade to better trains because you're a ridiculous amount of people. If we come in here to our new station, then you're not as bad, to be fair. You've got 105, but you're extremely busy. Apache Ranch is never going to be that busy, nor is Gold Town. It's mainly going to be this end of the line. I think I can just go ahead and assign like maybe 4 new trains onto the tracks or something. Then we'll start working on a little bit of a change to the line because, again, the more we're at the stage in the game where the more towns that have train stations the better, just because the buses are struggling so much, and that's why I went ahead and added in like 10 new buses, just because I wanted to go ahead and try and make things better. But again, I don't even know if that's going to cope because it's going to cause a lot of issues with just trains building up, or buses building up, sorry, and I don't even know like how well they space out. They don't space out the best at all. Anyway, enough of that ramble. 4 new trains, that's going to be basically 600 more seats on the network actually, so that should go ahead and clear the backlog, and if we go ahead and make this successful then, which I don't know how easy it's going to be because there's going to be a bit of a problem back there coming down into Meadows, then we'll go ahead and add in even more trains. So where is the station going to go? The station is going to go right where I am looking at right now. So if we very quickly just go ahead and jump into stations, I'm going to pre-build the station because I want things to be absolutely perfect here. So we're going to go ahead for 2 platforms. So we're going to go for catenaries, yes. We want to go for high speed, obviously, not wood. That would be very, very bad. Can you imagine wooden tracks and with some of these trains? I want to build it in there, but we're going to have train issues. So here we have it. After way too long, we've managed to get a station in here. I mean, it's not the most perfectest, if that's even a word. However, it is in quite a good location actually, so it's sort of right on this edge part of town, and just going to go ahead and soften some of this up, sort of just blend it into the landscape. So it's not on the edge of town. I mean, it's like near, I guess, the bus station as well, which is really good, and Meadows has grown so much, honestly. Like, the bus stops don't even cover it right now. We'll go ahead and continue the game now, and I can go ahead and have what I want, which is an open area which trains can go ahead and change tracks without being in a tunnel, and that was the real worry, and that's why I don't think Yampa didn't work. That was the real reason it didn't work. So I need to go ahead and just sort of just create myself a small valley, I guess you could say, here for the railway line to run along in the open, so I can go ahead and make the junction and the signalling nice and easy. And then once that's done, we can go ahead and try and create this track, and I think it will be successful because it's not as sharp a drop, I guess, from Almosa anyway to Yampa was. It's not going to be like that from Tajada down to here in Meadows. So let's go ahead and see if I'm right or if I'm just talking shit, and I think we're good. Yeah, we're really good, to be honest, so we should be fine. So we're fine to there. That's adequate room to go ahead and allow trains to change platforms. Then it's probably going to go into a tunnel, which I'm totally fine with, to be honest. That'll go ahead and just reduce like noise pollution and all that sort of stuff. The problem is up this other end, and realize I talked about noise pollution there. It's something which obviously this game doesn't really need to care about, but at the same time it's like it's good to think about that IRL, if you get what I mean. we need to go ahead and try and, this is the problem, it's because the airport and the train station near enough back onto each other, and I knew this was going to be an issue if I wanted to go ahead and try and extend this. So what I want to do is I want to have something like that, however it's going to cause too much slope. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm literally just going to delete this road. Not many people live up here, I think that's the way the town's going to go eventually. However, I'm not going to allow it to happen just yet. I need to go ahead and build the railway line, then they can go ahead and rebuild that street. But what it's going to do is it's just basically going to run parallel to the road here, and then from there it should be able to just get, it should just be able to get going from here, to be honest. Right, that wasn't going to work just because of the bridge there, unfortunately. It's more going to be the interesting thing with the tunnel and how this is actually going to work. So if I go ahead and try and make a direct connection, which this is going all over the place with the frame rate, it's not too bad, but it's... Right, okay, the drop maybe is too big actually. We're going to have to work this out. So we're going to have a wee bit of a weaving line, to be honest. Again, most of this is going to be a tunnel, which is not the worst thing in the world. Again, we're going to be able to change platforms not in a tunnel, so it's going to work out okay. Right, so I went ahead and just completed that stage because I know what tunnels and signals are like. It was a bit fidgety, but I managed to go ahead and get signals pretty much right the way through the tunnel actually, and you can see they're quite well spaced out as well. Go ahead and turn the contour lines off, so we've definitely got a lot of good signals in here, and this part of the line should work totally smoothly, I'm hoping. We've got a good junction in here, plenty of open area here, so it should be easy crossing, good signals in place, so hopefully if we go ahead and connect this station up, then we shouldn't have any difficulties. The one or two things I do want to do though is go ahead and check the road and check the buses, because we can go ahead and definitely put a bus stop here anyway on the green line, I think, which connects up to Chijada, and again the train would be defeating the purpose. Yes, I understand that, however I'm going to keep the bus because for the time being anyway I don't know how successful this is going to be, plus I think that most of the buses are pretty full as they are anyway, so it'll work out not too bad entwined together, though if we need to we can go ahead and easily make a change. Right, so here we have the Meadows to Jada, and simply all I want to do is go ahead and jump in here and build a bus stop right there. And then this should be quite easy actually, so after bus stop number 1, it's just going to stop in there, and then Highland Street, and then it's going to be Franklin Street, and this is going to be the last stop, Highland Street, and there we go. So that's that added in extremely easy. So if we go ahead now and add this into the railway line, again, don't know how successful it's going to be, and I've just realised how tight this corner is actually. Like, the speed that you must have to drop down to here is going to be incredibly low. Again though, it's not too bad because it ties in with the railway station, and as we can see here in general, the railway station is only 23 people waiting. The amount of people that are coming out of here though is ridiculous. You're full and you're full, so yeah, it sort of backs up my statement that the bus line's already full, so going ahead and adding in the train line will hopefully go ahead and ease the buses a little bit. A lot of people waiting around out there, but let's go ahead and make this modification to this line now. So we jump back into railroads, so it's not making as much money as it was, interestingly. However, if we go ahead and add, I mean, it's still making a great amount of money, and if we go ahead and add in this stop, then it could do even better. So Castle Rock it's stopping at right now. It's then going to come along here into Jada, and then it's going to come all the way through the tunnel down here to Meadows. Now I have a proposition for you. So I could go ahead and connect this up with Redcliffs, for example, and go down the valley, because now we're down in the valley, and go over to Yampa, and then if we build the Yampa station correctly and better this time, we could have it connect up to Almosa, possibly, if we do it better. So that's something I could work on, and it's gonna be a few days before I record all the other episodes of this series. So if you think that's a good idea, then go ahead and tell me down below, or do a connection with maybe Redcliffs, Miller Camp, then maybe Walnut Ranch and up to Almosa. I've got combinations which I can do, and there's going to be a few stations which I'm going to add in anyway. But that's that in action, so I'm glad to see it, and we'll go back to it and see how we're doing on the profit margins. One thing I do want to do is check the air though, and overall since that change we're actually making a bit of loss, which is unfortunate. So going to go ahead and just jump into these hangars here, and I want to basically just go ahead and sell all these planes. They're all at different hangars though. There's not a universal sell button, which is annoying. If we go in here though, there we go. So we can go ahead and sell you, nice and easy like that. Jump into Tijada East. go ahead and sell you, and then sell you. So getting actually a not bad sellback value, not going to lie, on these two. Then if we go ahead and do that, that is just so slow. That is just way too slow. I'm also clicking on the wrong thing as well, which I realise doesn't help. And it's one of the most frustrating things as a viewer when you're watching someone and they're just getting everything wrong. It's like, oh my god, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. So it's very frustrating. How are you classified as a tram? Are you actually classified as a tram? I never knew that. No, you shouldn't be a tram because you should not be in there. I'm sorry, the A2s are not trams. That is very, very strange. It's actually making us a loss, but Boulder's an absolute mess, so I can't really do too much about it anyway. But I'm here in, this is what, Arvada? No, San Carlos, and a lot of people waiting on the train here actually. How's our other train line doing? Because we sort of just neglect one and then we focus on the other. So since the modification taking out Yampa, everything's back to normal, but we are having a little bit of a wait. Not gonna lie. How are our trains actually doing? So you're near enough full. There's one that's just gone into the tunnel here. If I can go ahead and click on you, then yeah, you're near enough full as well, but we're not quite full, which is good. One thing I do want to do though is go ahead and try get Milton Caves and maybe Will Ems into this, because I think that would be a good idea, because they're also hilltop towns which could get connected in, and I think I'm going to redo the order of this as well. I think it's going to go to Fort Morgan, then to Crossville, then to Almosa, then to San Carlos. Even though we spent 284 million or whatever it was on this bridge, I think that's going to have to happen, because we could easily have it coming back through San Carlos, into Willems up the top, into, for example, Milton Caves up the top, maybe swing back round into Dolores as well and create a loop, because that would just be the perfect situation. And that is something which I'm going to go ahead and work on. Now, I don't know how easy this is going to be though, that's the thing. So what I'm thinking is going ahead and trying to place a station about there, which will work out not too bad, and then I want to go ahead and I'm just going to lay some foundations. It's not going to necessarily be permanent. I'm going to go ahead and do something like that there. Now this might cause issues because of the junction, and it is going to cause issues, so we're going to go ahead and have to sort of just delete that section there, which is totally fine. And then if we go ahead and draw that there, again, still issues. But there we go, problem solved. So that's a little bit of road work. So I'm just going to go ahead and basically draw the outlines of what I want. So it's going to be quite sharp actually. What I'm going to need to do is go ahead and sort of run a railway line which comes along here. That's going to cause a bloody collision with signals. Hate signals sometimes. So we go ahead and do something like that there, and then if I can go ahead and grab you, and again the collision is going to occur. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that signal, and we'll go ahead and put in another one in a second. So go ahead and just have that. I always want to keep my old lines. I always want to go ahead and keep my old lines, because just in case I need to revert, or I want to go ahead and add in extra services onto my tracks. So we've got something like that coming over here now. Where do we need to work to? Over to there, which this is going to cost a lot. I just get that strong feeling. So that part there is going to be fine. This part here is going to be fine. It's going to be this next part, because we're going to have to create some form of pretty large bridge. But you could connect in like that, and that's only going to cost me 21 million actually. Again, a bit of an I don't know if it's an eyesore or not, to be honest. It's two bridges, which I kind of wish the full thing was a bridge, because that looks a bit stupid there, but it's done now anyway, and we have 2 billion, so it's basically like the unlimited money mod is on, which is pretty cool. We'll go ahead and bring you along here to about there, which is costing 10 million, which again is nice and a little bit cheaper, and then go ahead and connect you into there. So that would definitely work. I'm building this line. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to deploy it, because it's really going to depend on this next stage, and where would Milton Caves even have a station? That is the question. So I think I know where Milton Caves would have a station. It's going to be where this mountain is here. However, I'm going to have to go ahead and do even more terraforming this episode and cut the mountain back. So I've gone ahead and built a station in here, which fits in really, really nicely. However, it's not going to happen. It really isn't, because the amount you have to go down and the amount you have to come up And with the station there, you're actually more facing to Arvada, and we want to really link round over here to Dolores, so that one just isn't going to happen, unfortunately. Sometimes you have to miss times out, and unfortunately Milton Caves has been the unlucky one. However, with the bus it's going to be really easy to connect up to the station here, and also this station is on the Milton Caves side of town as well, so it can be classified maybe as sort of a joint station, even though it is really in with the Williams catchment area. Right, so after way too long of going ahead and messing around with that, we finally managed to create a loop. So the loop basically, this is us in Dolores, this is us coming in at the back end of the station now, come round here, come under the road which goes down towards Ranch, then through multiple tunnels and multiple failed attempts as well. It was difficult because I couldn't actually group the line together in a lot of places. Again, we got another really epic bridge, then the line sort of splits, and the reason was I couldn't really get the bridge to go over Milton Caves together, and it's either pretty or it's either ugly, and I really do like how the two individual tunnels, I quite like this aspect. However, over the gorge where people live, there's two massive bridges, and you know that road I built at the start of the episode, which I thought was great? Not as great anymore because it caused me a lot of issues. It was trying to get the pillars to not intersect with the road. That was the real difficulty. And as you can see, the bridge sort of merges together halfway along, so it's even worse. But then that connects in here into Williams, and then of course it goes ahead and, as we know, connects up at San Carlos. So that is part of the edit done. However, I have to do a lot more work because I have to do Fort Morgan now over to Crossford, which Crossford station angle is not good for that. I'd be better moving the station to up here, which I'm strongly thinking about. And then also, if we go ahead and jump over, I need to go ahead and connect up Almosa over to San Carlos, which is probably quite an easy build, to be honest, compared to Crossville and Fort Morgan anyway. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so I've gone ahead and basically just completed this line off camera just because it took a long time and it cost me a lot of money. So down to 1.8 billion, I've let the game run a long time. From the last clip to this clip, we'll probably advance about 10 years. This was because I just wanted to get the railway line up and working perfectly. So if we go ahead and we filter here by our railway lines, we now have a loop left and a loop right, and if you go back to my previous series I did something similar to this. So let's go ahead and basically review, I guess, the loop. So it starts here at Crossville, and now instead of going over to San Carlos, it makes its way all the way along here, which this is another very large bridge actually. This one cost me about 284 million, so possibly could be the most expensive. Also joins up with a tunnel up here, very small tunnel being that actually, up here, and comes into Fort Morgan. Then from there it's just basically the same coming down into Arvada right now. Now there is still some teething going on with the trains, as you can probably tell. I mean, the trains are moving, they're just all pretty full, so I need to go ahead and just work things out, and also with spacing as well. I need to go ahead and work on things there. As we can see, that train is also full as well, so I just need to probably go ahead and add in more trains as we go. Anyway, in here we've got Dolores, which just is part of the original route, so this shouldn't be too new to you. However, in the next episode I want to go ahead and give Dolores basically a second station, because a lot of these large towns in real life would have a second station, so I think one at this side would make sense, to be honest, because there's not a central station for Dolores. Right now there's obviously one at one side of town, no harm in having one at the other side of town, honestly. Then we come along here, and this was the bit I wasn't too happy about. We might change it again at some point. There's something about it which just doesn't add up at all. I could always add in another station here, and I do want to have lots of stations on this line, and it can be the sort of just upper Milton Caves, maybe just coming off this road here, for example, maybe having a station up here. That would be kind of nice, but again, I don't really know how realistic that's going to be. We then come along in here though, into Williams, and this works out really nicely actually. I like the location of the station. Then we come in and we come back onto part of the old line, very briefly I guess you could say, for San Carlos. Then we now go over here, which there's a possibility we can try tying Greenley into this eventually, I don't really know. It is something which, again, want to add in more and more stations as we go. Then we come back into Almosa, and then it's back along in to Crossville. So going ahead and looking at this from distance, you can see it's now much more of a loop, and that's really what I wanted to go for. And it's a very strange looking loop in that sense, but it does work like a loop, and we've got a left and a right, and overall, if you go ahead and add the two totals together right now, it's sitting at roughly, say, 27, 28 million. It fluctuates all the time, to be honest. Again, it's still sort of in its initial stage, so it's going to be like that for a little bit of time. Then overall, it's doing quite well, and it's doing better than the original line was anyway, and in general, it can carry more people, and I think overall, this side of the map is better supported. Again though, I want feedback on this, so Almosa can go ahead and have an extra line which comes down through Ward's Ranch, through Miller Camp, maybe to Redcliffs, Meadows, and then jump onto that railway line, and that's something which I'm really considering. Definitely want to do something in the valleys. We could also do something from maybe Tejada down to Richardson, through Salt Creek for example, Greenley, then up to Almosa or San Carlos, and again, I really do want to try and add something into the Boulder Valley. Don't know how realistic, to be honest, it is. However, I'm really tempted. I've tried it before, it didn't really work out, but to be honest, like, things aren't working out great as we know anyway in this place, so I need to go ahead and do something or everything's just going to ultimately fail at the end of the day. But bar that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump out of here. I'm really starting to see frame issues just all over the place. This is me just trying to move around freely, and OBS is totally fine, no frame drops. It's this game, unfortunately. It just really can't handle all of this now, and the map's getting on, to be honest. There was a comment from a regular viewer. Who was it? I mean, I have quite a lot of regular viewers, so thank you to everyone who is a regular viewer, I guess you could say. They were basically saying that this series is really nowhere near done, and I would totally agree, it is really nowhere near done. We still have quite a bit of work to do, and that's why we've still got another 4 episodes left. One thing to note actually is that I went ahead and bought a new train. This is one of the new trains I got off the workshop, and if we go over to here, this is where my new train depots are. So we go ahead and very quickly just sell all of these. Now, to go ahead, and I was talking about going ahead and filling up content for these 4 or 5 episodes, I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and get some more mods, and this is one of them. So you wouldn't have seen this train before actually, so we'll go ahead and have a very quick look at it and compare it to the old. So this is the old one that we're using, top speed of 87 miles per hour, capacity of 144. We've gone ahead and altered that a bit for a smaller capacity at 125 seats, however it's got a faster speed of 124 miles per hour, so gone ahead and compromise capacity for speed, but at the same time, if trains can move faster, then they get to A to B faster, which means overall, per minute or whatever, they can carry more people, technically, if all that makes sense. But with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. So I'm not going to get you to write an essay on this. What do you want me to build in the next 4 episodes? Because I've not pre-recorded any of this, literally. It is, right now actually, this part of the episode is actually being recorded on the Monday evening. So about 21 hours ago, I actually recorded the first part of this video, and I just decided to go ahead and do this in 2 lots because I was really tired last night. Lots of work to do on buses anyway, we can do that, but is there any like amazing projects anyone wants to see me do? I.e. build like a water railway right down the middle of the map, for example, because I could attempt it. I mean, can't imagine it's going to go well, but we're at the stage of the series now where I want to be a little bit ambitious and go ahead and try a few different things. Very quickly, just want to jump in here though before we wrap things up and look at the airplanes. Airplanes really aren't doing that good, to be honest, but I'm willing to take the loss. I would like to build maybe 1 or 2 more airports though before the end of the series, because I think that'd be pretty cool. Boats though are doing in general pretty well. Trams are trams, to be honest. They're a bit here, there and everywhere. We're actually starting to get a loss in Boulder as well, which is kind of unfortunate. Buses are buses. Trains though, trains are doing just absolutely wonderful. Tejada Ranch Line, or Tejada Goldtown, or it's now Meadows Goldtown actually, if I'm going to be totally technical about it, doing extremely well there, 30 million, and then these two together, that's basically them up to 30 million as well, which is good to see. Anyway, that's all for this video, so thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, rating, subscribe if you are new around here. Go down into that comment section below, tell me what you want to see me do, and also go ahead and click on some of the links on screen which of videos you've not seen before. And that's all for this video pretty much, so thank you very much for watching. My name is ConflctNerd Callum, and I'm out.